welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to bring you the USGS, which stands for United States Geological Survey. Also, today, or should I say yesterday, I was hanging around with a couple of my friends, and one of them asked me, how is it that I was so very aware on how earthquakes were hitting quite constant? Well, I mentioned to them that I go to a site called USGS, which is the United States Geological Survey. I explained that to them, and they still didn't know what that was about. And so what I'm going to do for this small segment here, I'm going to tell you guys, because I live in Los Angeles. I actually live in the city of Santa Clarita, and I'm very close to where these earthquakes are occurring. And so maybe I can give you a little education on how is it that you can find out live when earthquakes are hitting your section or your sector. And this goes for the entire world. Well, let's begin. When a dot, like in this case, is red, that means it just hit. If I just click at that, it tells me that this particular earthquake hit here. As you can see, if we move to the left side of the screen, it tells you the magnitude for that particular earthquake was a 2.7 magnitude, and it was in Kudaic, Alaska, which is pretty much where that was at, right? And it also gives you the time when it hit. It hit at 12:28:18 UTC time, and it did it on the 25th, which is today, right? So this is the most recent one that just recently hit. It usually takes about maybe 12 hours before it changes to a yellow, like what you see here. This yellow here, as it's showing here in this section here, hit when the 25th, but it hit about 3:29:52 UTC time, right? And where did it hit? It hit in also in the section of Alaska, in a sector of Alaska. So what I'm trying to tell you is this mapping of earthquakes that are occurring quite constant are happening all the time. Now I'm going to bring the map a little bit longer, so this way we're able to minimize the map and we can see more, or zoom in into the map and we can also see more in that way. So let me do that. All right, I'm gonna close this window down. All right, this section here is what is considered to be the ring of fire. This is what they call the ring of fire, this whole section from Alaska all the way around. And the reason why it's called the ring of fire is because the plate tectonics are going around in a circle. If you notice this lining that you see here, this whole line is basically in the form of a ring, and it goes around and around and around in the form of this ring that you see here. You see that? All of this is part of it. So let's go to where we live, to where I live actually. This is where I live. And earthquakes are happening quite constant because I live in a zone. I live in the city of Santa Clarita, right? And in this zone, as you can see, the plate tectonics are crossing right in my area. Now, even though I get earthquakes quite constant in my area, right now it's not showing it. So if I was gonna go to the Santa Clarita section, let's do that a little bit more, see what happens. All right, we get in there. So I'm double clicking to get into my mapping zone, but you don't have to do that. You can actually just press the minus or the plus, whichever you want to go into it. Or if your Mac has a pad, a trackpad, then you can use your two fingers to scroll back and forth. You can do that. But anyway, this lining is the plate tectonics. This is basically when, I guess, in a few hundred years from now, this whole Los Angeles region is going to break apart, and it's going to become what it is to what people already know is going to be, which is a big island. And you can see how if you keep following the plate tectonics, you see this section broke out, so a sea was created there because of that. The water somehow infiltrated and it became a salton sea. But if you continue going down, you can see, if you keep following it, and let's minimize it. If you follow the plate tectonics from where it starts, look, it starts here, right? And it comes down in the Sacramento area down to San Francisco and Fresno, and it keeps going, and it bypasses me where I'm at in Santa Clarita, right? Keep going through Los Angeles, and it keeps going. But the way it's doing it, it keeps going in a sector where it breaks apart in this bay area in the Gulf of California. But if you notice, it ends here, but it hasn't ended. What happens is that this has already broken. You see that, how this already tore apart? I'm sure from thousands of years, and it keeps stretching and stretching and stretching. And so it's almost like you're tearing a paper, and it started here, and it keeps tearing and tearing and tearing until you're gonna see a full island, you know, if you just follow the plate tectonics. And that's what's gonna end up happening. But in any case, this is something peculiar that I found. If you can see here, usually the plate tectonics hit here in the Lancaster area, right? Because this is where the plate tectonics are at. But like a bell, when it breaks, you don't feel it the worst in this area. You feel it right around in the areas of Pomona, in Covina, in Anaheim. Why? Because it's almost like you're ripping a belt. If you pressure a belt and you try to snap a belt, once it breaks, the snap doesn't occur in the cut. It occurs somewhat about 6 inches from the belt, because that's where the wave starts receiving the impact. And so that's why when earthquakes occur here in this region of the plate tectonics, you don't feel it here. Just like a bell, you end up feeling it right around in the areas of Pomona, West Covina, you know, Simi Valley, all these areas here, El Monte, Anaheim, all these areas, and they feel it the worst because that's where the biggest wave frequency is felt the most. So as you notice, there haven't been any earthquakes here since the last time that it hit. I think it was 5 point something, I think. And obviously it was here noted in this section region. But then I've been noticing the earthquakes that are occurring here in this section. And I don't know what's going on here, because I really don't know what's in here. We'll have to study this region a little bit more in order for us to understand why are so many earthquakes. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 earthquakes in this same region. So something's going on here in the Angus Mountains, Argus Mountain. Something is happening here that you're getting a lot of earthquakes in this region. And so that's something that needs to be studied. Well, anyway, this is how I know. Now, if I minimize this a lot more and we see the whole entire map, well, let's see how we can see it. Maybe there's a way to see the whole entire map. I want to explain more in details. There we go. I want to be able to see the whole entire map. So let's minimize it, and so we can see the whole entire map and see all the earthquakes that are occurring all over the world. And wow, look what an amazing sight. What an amazing sight. You see that? Look at all the earthquakes that are happening all over the world. And if you notice, wherever there are earthquakes, usually the plate tectonics are right under it. Except for the one we saw in Vegas here. maybe there must be a plate tectonic adding up in that region. I don't know, but it almost looks like it because you see a lot of little earthquakes happening in that area. So if you notice here, let's go to South America and see what happens there. The plate tectonics, they come along the same region. See that? So it only makes sense for you to feel it here, because if the earthquakes happen here, you feel the belt snap here, but you feel the wavelengths happening here in this region, and that's where it feels the most. So hold on, let's go back. And everywhere you see a little dot, expect to have a plate tectonic going around it, because that's usually what follows. Now, there is a particular place where there is no plate tectonic, but there's something else going on, and that is in the island of Hawaii. Let's go to Hawaii in this section here. I never actually understood. I know that there is a lava flow going under the copper belt of the Earth, under the mantle of the Earth, but I just never understood why there is no plate tectonics. Because what it is, there's a section of lava here, and as the plates of the rocky plates keep moving, the lava keeps flowing, you know, and therefore it keeps building the islands that you see here from that. And as you can see, there is a most recent earthquake, and let's see this one. This is the most recent. This is the island of Hawaii. I used to live in Honolulu, which is this island here, and you don't feel anything there. It's just wonderful there. But here you feel a lot of earthquakes. I used to go here and visit. So let's see this one. How strong was it? It seems to have been 3.1. Wow, it's pretty strong. 3.1. But anyways, this is just recently. This happened at midnight last night. So that's pretty recent. And more keeps happening here. So anyways, let's go somewhere else. Let's see what we can. Let's minimize that. All right. So basically, this is how I know. This is a live mapping of earthquakes that are happening all over the world. And that's how I know. That's how I keep myself informed, because I want to know if there are more coming. So when you see an earthquake coming, but then you see a whole bunch of little earthquakes coming, you know there's another one coming after that. Like what happened when we had that 5.1 or 5.4 earthquake a few weeks back. There were a few little ones coming up, but then the next one was following. When you have one earthquake and just one earthquake, then and you don't see little ones, little tremors coming after that, then that's fine. You won't have a big one coming up. But when you have a whole bunch of little ones coming up, there's a big one usually following after that, because it's almost like it's trying to release itself, so it does it little by little until it finally explodes. All right, so if I go here, you notice how I can bring up this section menu. In this menu, it tells you the most recent one that you have today, and then gives you a breakdown from the most recent one to the oldest one as you keep going down into the menu. This is basically to download all this information data so that you keep it to yourself, and you can be aware of what's been happening, so you can follow through the way I've been telling you. Like when you see a whole bunch of little earthquakes, and then you can kind of like be aware of what can happen later. So let's see. This one is a full breakdown just by themselves of all the earthquakes that are happening. And then here you have a little menu. In the auto update, well, this is done automatically. Okay. Here it tells you 1 day magnitude 2.5 plus. In other words, if you have earthquakes that are less than 2.5, they will not be listed here. I set it up this way, well, basically because that's the only option I have. But there are some other ones that are very little, like 1 point something, but you won't see them here. You only see 2.5 plus. So that's what that means. Let's move to the next one. Here it also tells you the magnitude of the earthquake. I want to know the magnitude of the earthquake. I don't want to know the shake map, and I don't want to know the page. Usually that's information that is not important to me, so I leave it at magnitude. And basically I have it set up to the newest first and the oldest last. The map layer, I have it in terrain because I want to see where exactly I'm in. It gives you the mapping and the names of the countries, the cities, the districts, everything. When you go to, let's go to grayscale. In grayscale, you only see basically the mapping picture of the world, but nothing else. Terrain, you already saw. Terrain, you already saw. Street. I don't see anything different in street other than I don't see borders on it. Like when I go to terrain, I see borders, but when I go to street, I don't see borders. But I wonder if I just zoom in into it, I should be able to see. I should be able to see more detail in it, and actually I don't see detail. So I see detail. And then let's try satellite. Satellite is pretty much a rugged terrain of the whole entire map. And for me, it kind of gets me a little confused because I don't see no details as far as names of streets and names of cities. I don't see anything like that, so I leave it at that. I rather not use that one. So I will go with terrain. Terrain is more informative for me. It tells me exactly where I'm at, where the earthquakes are happening. So I leave it at that. Then plate boundaries. Plate boundaries. It gives you a breakdown like the plate tectonics that you see here. It breaks it down to every plate tectonics that you see all over the world. UTC, that's a standard time. So that is that. Then you have another option here where you go and you zoom in and you can directly go into that sector where you have it. You can set it up so you go to Alaska like I have it, or in this case you go to California where I have it. You know, these are the ones I set up for because those are the main interest people. I know people in those areas and I usually want to know what's going on in those areas. Hawaii. Now, I am not from Puerto Rico, but I always want to know what's going on in Puerto Rico because I know people there. I have some good friends that live there, so I always want to know. And the United States, obviously, which is my beautiful country, which I love, and the world, of course, the whole entire map. And these are all the earthquakes. I hope this was very informative for you because you're gonna need it. You may not know what's gonna happen in the future, but if you know what's happening live, it gives you time for you to do what you need to do because you know something is coming. Like in my case, when I know I have little tremors coming in and I see there's a lot, so what I usually do, I go outside. I go to a park area because I know there's a big one coming. When the big one hit only a few weeks back, I saw little tremors coming in. I saw 7 coming in already. So I grabbed my kids and I went to a park and I just stayed there. And then it happened. And everybody kept saying, how did you know? How did you know? Well, this is how I knew. I saw little tremors, like what's happening in Vegas. I see little tremors happening. And let me take you back there. So this is kind of giving you like a warning, right? If I was you, and if I was living in this area, I would say, hey, there's too many little earthquakes going on here. Something is coming up, and maybe a big one is happening. It's gonna happen. So you go and hang around and go outside your house because how do you know your house is not gonna fall down on you, or on your kids, or on your dog, Jesus, or your turtle, if you have any. You need to be aware of these things. And I think that by you knowing the USGS can help you be ready, and perhaps it can save your life. I know that nothing happened to my house. I went out to the park purposely because I saw little earthquakes happening, but my house, even though it shake, nothing happened to it except for maybe a few things that fell off, you know. But that's it. Nothing happened. Still, something could have happened, and it would have been a disaster if I would have been in there and the roof comes down. And so that's what I'm trying to prevent. I'm trying to prevent any one of the people I love to get hurt, including myself. I hope this video was very informative to you. I know it should be, and I hope you take it as that. You guys have a wonderful day. Please subscribe if you can, so I can keep making more videos for you guys. I'll see you on the next one. Have a super great day. Bye.